The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome everybody to the fifth installment of the Exit Solutions webinar series. Presenting today is Kevin Minton, the CEO of Chief Executive Boards International, and he's built an organization dedicated to helping business owners work on their business and develop balance. Just a few housekeeping notes. Any questions you may have during the presentation, just go ahead and submit them in the question box on GoToWebinar, and we can get those answered for you. And also, this recording will be sent out to everybody later this afternoon. And with that, I'm going to pass on over to Kevin.
Well, thank you, Dan, and good afternoon or good morning. I'm Kevin Minton, and as Dan mentioned, I'm the owner and CEO of Chief Executive Boards International. And I want to thank you for inviting me to speak with you today about working on your business versus working in your business. My business, Chief Executive Boards, is located in Greenville, South Carolina, and we offer executive peer advisory boards and coaching assistance in multiple cities throughout the United States. Just a little history, we've been in business since 1996 and was originally founded in Cincinnati, Ohio. But we have now moved the headquarters to Greenville, South Carolina since 2002. And just want to let you know that our website, which you'll see at the bottom of the slide that you see on your screen right now, is www.chiefexecutiveboards.com, and you can go there to find more details or information about our organization. So before we just dive straight into our topic, you might be curious to learn a little bit more about CEBI. That's the acronym that we use for Chief Executive Boards. We are a boutique executive peer advisory service with local and national boards located throughout the Eastern and Midwest United States. And the purpose of Chief Executive Boards is to help CEOs, presidents, and business owners to share ideas and experiences to avoid the pitfalls and potholes that many have already experienced. We really just help steer you from reinventing the wheel within your own businesses, and essentially it's where highly successful chief executives go to become even more successful. Our members convene in these confidential face-to-face forums and receive unvarnished advice in a safe and confidential environment, and typically that's unavailable elsewhere. It's kind of like having your own personal think tank. So as an example, what we do is we address what keeps you up at night. Items that you don't have an opportunity to discuss with anyone else. Being a business owner or being a president or CEO, it's a lonely position. And these people can avail of our local and national advisory board forums, and they can attend educational summits. They have access to other CEBI members that they can reach out to and talk to and consult with. They can also avail of executive and business coaching, our libraries, our workshops, and our webinars as well. So why are we here today? Well, what you see on your screen is a common problem among most business owners. It's a lonely position sometimes, and it can be extremely frustrating because there's typically no one else to turn to when problems arise or things need to get done. It's so common for most business owners to get sucked into their business that they kind of tend to lose their peripheral view of where they are and where they're headed. They might enter each day thinking that I'm going to be strategic about my business, but old habits are really hard to break sometimes. Or they may simply not understand how to be strategic about their business. Many times, a second or third generation business owner hasn't had the exposure or the training to understand how to be strategic. They simply enter the business with blinders because they were taught the old way of doing things, which likely won't get them to the next stage. Then, you get stuck in a rut and you simply don't know how to be strategic about your business. Let's just face it, humans are creatures of habit. And once we get sucked into our business, it starts to feel comfortable. Comfortable being there, and most owners don't even realize they've fallen into this black hole where they can't see their hand in front of their faces, much less what's going on in the universe around them. It's okay to be a creature of habit as long as you are, engaging in the right habits. But some business habits are scary and hazardous, while others can be very healthy. It's those good habits that we want every business owner to adopt, but sometimes, we get that tunnel vision and we just don't know what to do, and we don't know how. So that's why it's important to break away from our daily routine and stretch ourselves, gather some new wisdom or tools that can be useful. So, and knowing this, what should business owners and leaders do to climb out of this funk and start focusing on what's going to make them more successful? Well, if you haven't heard of it, has anybody heard the story about filling a glass jar with rocks, sand, and pebbles? Well, if you haven't, the story goes that if you place the sand and the pebbles into the jar first, then there's not going to be any room for the big rocks. We have to learn to place the big rocks into the jar first, and then there will be room for the sand and the pebbles. It just doesn't work the other way around. If we get tunnel vision and spend our time focusing on placing the pebbles and the sand into the jar as our first priority. So, meaning you don't focus on the small stuff as a matter of priority. And it works the same way with our businesses as well. So as an owner and a leader, we have to focus on those 3 to 5 major items or initiatives and dedicate the majority of our time toward those initiatives. If we do, there'll be room to accommodate most, if not all, of the smaller initiatives that tend to kind of creep into our business lives. Some of the small stuff might fall through the cracks, but if it does, it usually won't have any major impact. The key is to make strategy top of mind. And the way you do that is, you have to establish a method and a cadence. Just like, most distance runners and swimmers, you have to set a method and set a cadence for success. Running a business is a lot like running a distance race. If you want to win the race, you just don't typically start out by sprinting and losing your wind at the beginning of the race, or by swimming with your feet ahead of you. No, you establish a cadence that allows you to maintain a certain heart rate and a sustainable pace and use the proper technique. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Much like the game of business, we have to have the proper method and strategic cadence, in order to see and achieve our goals. So what should a CEO or a business owner really be focused on? Well, corporate vision, the business valuation, and company culture are typically the 3 most impactful areas where a business owner should focus their attention. These are the high value, high impact areas for any leader's time. Today, I'm going to share 11 things that I think can help an owner or a business leader to become more effective at working on their business instead of constantly feeling the strain of working in it. So let me start off by posing a simple question for pondering. You've heard this question asked many times, and the answer is different depending upon the circumstance. However, in the game of business, let me suggest that as an owner or a leader, there's only one correct answer. And that question is, what is your most valuable asset? Some say it's employees or customers, or some might say it's capital. Others might say it's the building in which we work or even our inventory. Well, none of these answers are correct. The correct answer is time. Time is our most valuable asset, yet we tend to waste it, we tend to kill it, and spend it rather than invest it. It's one of the things that we all will run out of eventually. So the first thing that I would recommend is to take control of your time. You can choose to let others influence it, but don't let anybody else dictate how you use your time. Time is a fleeting resource that can't be regained, so it needs to be considered extremely valuable and treated as if it were the most precious item in our possession when it comes to running a business. So with that in mind, we need to become strategic with our time. And how do we go about doing that? Well, here's your first tip to becoming more strategic with your business. So, one of the keys to becoming more strategic with your time is to plan all of your time, including all your personal time on your calendar. Doing this can help you to take control of your calendar. And I like to color code my calendar so I can see just where and how I'm spending my time. So, for example, my personal time is shown in purple. Orange represents time with existing clients. Yellow represents time spent marketing our business. Items that I've color-coded in green represent time spent on operational execution. And of course, you can also use additional colors for items such as strategy sessions or time with suppliers, etc. Another way you can control or you can designate your time is you can color-code it by value. I've seen people color-code their time by say, $10,000 initiatives, $5,000 initiatives, $100 initiatives, and so forth. That's another way to do it. The key is, take control of your time. Begin planning and tracking how you spend it. Make sure you carve out some time on a regular basis to step away from your business for reflection, analysis, and forward thinking. So that's tip number one. Tip number two. One of the best ways that we found for businesses to become more strategic is for their leaders to break away on a regular basis to meet with other leaders to discuss issues, that they're facing and how to solve them. During a roundtable meeting, each participant would have the opportunity to process an issue with other leaders around the table and receive feedback and recommendations for helping to navigate these issues. Some of the typical issues that business owners and leaders, face or they'll bring up or surface might include something like, what kind of resources are available for helping to position a company for the best intrinsic value, or how do I begin the process of establishing an exit plan, and when should I consider implementing one? Some of these groups, they'll meet weekly or some will meet monthly, but the best cadence that we've discovered is to meet quarterly, as it gives you time to take what you've learned from the roundtable discussions, go back to your businesses and implement it, give it some time to see how it works, and then return to the group and discuss your progress along with any of the new issues that you might be facing. We found that it's difficult for most business leaders to break away on a more frequent basis, which is why we kind of landed on that quarterly cadence for these type of meetings. So tip number three, most of us in this world don't know what we don't know in life, and that includes business. And so the best way to bring this to the surface is to perform what's called a business assessment that will illustrate where your business is strong and where it might be showing potential signs of weaknesses. So after performing an assessment, you'll receive a report from your advisor illustrating areas where you might want to focus your attention in order to kind of make progress toward improvement. That's the whole idea is you want to make improvements. And these improvements, they'll help you to narrow the gaps that keep your company from achieving its full potential. And when you have your company that's clicking on all cylinders, typically you have high morale, great employees because they like working there, and you have high intrinsic value and high transferability. So when all this is working properly, the owners are usually in a great place with a thriving business, and it's able to achieve some life balance as well. Chief executive boards, my company started performing these assessments last year for our clients, and we're seeing tremendous success with helping companies in this area. Tip number 4. Again, if you're struggling with how to become more strategic with your business, I'd recommend seeking out a good business coach. Just like any sport, a coach can also help you to improve your game. Sometimes they see things that you're doing or not doing and can point out some changes that you might want to wish to consider in order to help you to get on the right path. It's a tremendous way, in my view, to ensure that you're taking time to step away from the day-to-day activities and focus on the strategic aspects of your business. If you want to take it a little deeper and solely focus just on, say, a particular individual within the company, such as the president or the CEO or et cetera, you can also engage in executive coaching. That's a little more concentrated on developing the skills and traits of that individual. But starting at a high level, I would say start with a business coach to help you gain some periphery on your business and help you, help guide you toward those strategies, those habits, those cadences that will lead you toward improving your business. Here's tip number 5. Keep your ego in check and listen to others. Advisors are really crucial because you need people to bounce ideas off of and inspect what they're doing and to push you to greater accomplishments, holding you accountable for what you are committing to do. Always be good to your word and follow through on your commitments, even when difficult and challenging. This isn't about you. You got to remember, it's about the business. So don't take things personally and stay out of the emotion. When your advisors give you advice, they're simply trying to help you in your business. So don't let your ego take control. That's tip number 5. Be willing to be humble and listen to your advisors and take heed, because several heads are much more better, as Trump would say, much more better than just one. All right, tip number 6. Taking time to get away on a company retreat is another way to work on your business. And when you take a retreat with your employees, you typically have an opportunity to learn more about each other, become better aligned around your strategic direction, and also solidify your company's culture. Great activities and outcomes during a company retreat include team building exercises, incorporating some new learning through workshops, improving your company's morale, re-energizing yourself and your employees, and reinforcing your company's culture. I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, but probably once a year or every year and a half is usually a good cadence for something like this. I wouldn't let something like this drag out for 5 years, because the business world is changing way too fast. And it's easy for a company's team to become misaligned and not work together in synchronicity. So I want to encourage you, take some time and budget to plan a company retreat off-site, away from any distractions that can pull you off your target. And you may want to even consider using a facilitator to help you to plan and run the retreat, so you'll stay on task and achieve the desired outcome, which is really to have everyone on the team aligned and focused on the company's direction. If it's planned and executed properly, company retreats can prove to be invaluable. So that's tip number 6. Tip number 7. Holding strategic planning sessions on an annual basis is really another good way to step back and from your daily grind and to focus on improving your business. Strategic planning goes deeper than a company retreat. A company retreat tends to kind of work on culture, high-level direction, and alignment, whereas strategic planning sessions are really geared more toward developing the how you're going to achieve the vision of the company. So if you don't know how to conduct a strategic planning session, there are resources available out there to help you through the process. Years ago, we used to conduct these planning sessions, and we would develop these 1-inch binders and place it on a shelf, and it would sit there and gather dust until the next planning session. And part of that's because it was so thick, it was so tedious to if you needed to maneuver or adjust it or anything like that. Today, most strategic plans for small to mid-size market businesses can be very simple. In fact, only a couple of pages. At Chief Executive Boards, we use a planning process that only requires 2 pages, which includes our 10-year BHAG, our 3-year plan, our 1-year plan, and our 90-day plan. And I'm not saying that you have to develop a new strategic plan every year or that you should be married to it, but it's a good habit to get everyone together to at least review it to see if any changes need to occur for the future success of the business. All right, tip number 8. Another great way to, in my opinion, to work on you and your business is to take time for continual learning and education. I've seen where it's reported that Bill Gates reads at least 50 books per year. We should never stop learning and want to continue to grow our knowledge about business principles, tactics, new trends that are occurring. I have a philosophy, in fact, that leaders are readers, and promote that every business leader should read a variety of business books, literature, periodicals, journals, executive reviews, etc. They don't all have to be business related either. Throw in a couple of novels or biographies to kind of mix it up. I try to read at least 2 books per month, which has been extremely beneficial to my continued development throughout the years. And to take it a step further, do some research, and I would encourage you to find some other avenues for learning as well, such as attending some workshops, participating in webinars like you are today, or attend something new that you haven't tried. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very fast-paced world, and the speed of change is accelerating exponentially. So expanding our minds with new ideas and knowledge, that's what's going to help keep us tuned in to the challenges and the new ways of doing things. Plus, you also become a more interesting person because you have so many other things that you can now speak about and share with others. So that's tip number 8. Go out there and broaden your horizons a little bit. Try to learn some additional new skills. Tip number 9, I'd like to encourage you to learn how to coach and delegate to employees. Just like in the game of football, the quarterback, he doesn't do everything needed to advance the football, and neither should the business leader. Sometimes it's simply best to just hand over responsibility to others who can do the job better or have the time or energy to do it. If you want time to be able to work on your business, you have to let other people do some of the work that occupies your time. It's one of the hardest skills that I've seen that most business leaders have to learn. They really have a difficult time of letting go of things. A manager's job is, it's really to delegate and then inspect progress. So, I want to encourage you, don't be a control freak. If you delegate effectively, you'll get more and better than you expect. Just, have an actual written training and orientation plan so your employees know what's required of them. And we also recommend using an incentive-based reward system and maintain a no-problem attitude about issues that crop up. I mean, there's going to be things that pop up, and as a leader, you have to keep your emotions under control. So learn to delegate. That's a huge one as a leader or a business owner. Tip number 10, systematize your business. What is a system? Well, anything that can streamline your business should be addressed here. How about writing job descriptions and an employee manual, and maybe setting up an organizational chart, to name a few? It's not as hard as it may seem, and there are resources online that are that are already have some of these things available to you, and some are free, and others you have to pay for. Researching and implementing industry software is to help you to systemize your business is also a good idea. And if you're still storing your company's information on a server, you're operating in the dark ages. If your server goes down without a backup in place, then you're taking a chance, a huge chance, on losing your company's information, valuable IP. Almost any business today can operate using cloud-based systems where your data is accessible from anywhere and almost any smart device, making you less tied to a workstation and much more productive. I want to encourage you, having good processes coupled with complementary web-based systems is another key to allowing you to become more strategic. Now that you have these in place, you can begin to utilize another great tool to help you to become more strategic. And that's tip number 11. I want to encourage you to keep track of everything and manage by the numbers. And the way you can do that is set up a dashboard and create written systems for everything, because you'll reap benefits from them later on. This is how you train your employees and retain consistency. Know your numbers. I want to encourage you, check them regularly and make decisions based on what they tell you. Having a good dashboard system really helps you to navigate with your eyes open, opposed to steering blindly into the unknown. None of us want to do that. Pretty soon, you'll understand the trends of your business, and you'll understand how to plan appropriately. Running a business without a dashboard is really the equivalent of flying an airplane, without any gauges or instruments. So while I know there's some good pilots out there who know how to, physically fly a plane, sometimes, even good pilots, they encounter conditions that are impossible to read without their instruments. It's just as easy to crash a business as it is an airplane if you don't have the proper indicators to help you determine when or how you should maneuver. As you heard me mention earlier, the number one concern of most business owners today is keeping up with the speed of change. This business world is changing so rapidly with the introduction of new disruptors every day. And if you can't measure your progress or chart the direction you're going in, it's hard to know when and how to maneuver your business to accommodate or to stay ahead of the ever-changing business climate. So get yourself a good dashboard. All right. We only have so many heartbeats during the day, and the key to success really is to make sure that you carve out time to be strategic about your business. You have to physically set aside a part of your week or month to focus on your business. If you don't, I'm going to suggest that you'll find yourself constantly being a feather in the wind, being pulled into wherever or whatever the hottest task is at the moment. I plan my calendar out months in advance, and I typically like to review my next week on a Friday morning or Friday afternoon. If I see something that needs to be shuffled around, I'll typically have time to make the necessary accommodations, and it's all done under my control, not someone else's. You have to be the boss of your calendar and the owner of your time. I want to encourage you not to let things creep into your time that don't promote the strategic direction of your company. Again, this is your most valuable asset, and you have to guard it as your most prized possession. There's always going to be someone or somebody who's going to want to steal your time or to waste your time, and the sooner you take charge of it, the better life is going to get. Once again, if you focus on placing those big rocks into the jar first, then there will be plenty of room for the sand and the pebbles. There will always be problems, and there's always going to be some obstacles to navigate in any business. And it's your responsibility and my responsibility as an owner or a leader to concentrate our efforts in areas that can generate the highest and best use of your time. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult for your business to show advancement, and you're going to find yourself in a stale situation that could leave you vulnerable to potential business disruptors or changes that lead to degradation or possibly even the demise of your business. Remember, it's simply, it doesn't work if you spend your time focusing on placing the pebbles and the sand into the jar as your first priority. So I'd like to encourage you, take time, step back from your business, and focus on the 3 to 5 big rocks, and you'll notice a tremendous improvement in not only your business, but also your life balance as well. So let's just take a moment to review the 11 tips that I had mentioned throughout this presentation. So first of all, take control of your calendar. Color code that calendar. Plan your month, plan your week in advance, and don't let things impede upon your time. Number 2, I want to encourage you, join a business roundtable group. It's always good to bounce your ideas, your thoughts, have somebody that you can talk to who's possibly been through similar situations that you are experiencing at this time. If you want to be strategic about your business, that's a great way to do it. Number 3, if you don't know where you are with your business, go have a business assessment performed. Chief Executive Boards does this, or there's other people out there who do it. But if you want some help, just give me a call or send me an email, and maybe I can point you in the right direction. Number 4, hire a good business coach. Just like playing a sport or anything like that, if you want to get better and you want to avoid some of your blind spots, a good business coach can help you with that. Stay humble. Check your ego. Find good and listen to your advisors. These folks can be invaluable to you. It's always good to have 4 or 5, 6 good advisors who can help you with your business and the direction that you're going in to bounce things off of. I have advisors. Chief Executive Boards has a group of advisors or an advisory board, and I tell you, I find it to be invaluable at helping me to stay out of the weeds and to maintain the focus of where we need to be headed. I want to encourage you, break away from your business and hold company retreats. Get away from your office. Go to another location somewhere where you can't be disturbed, and work on this. And if you need help, hire a facilitator. Number 7, conduct strategic planning. Again, it's good to get together once a year and just blow the dust off your strategic plan, or develop a strategic plan if you don't have one. And use it as your roadmap to help guide you and hold you accountable for the direction that you're going. Always continue to learn. I would say that I have learned more after I graduated college by participating in continuous learning, constantly reading and participating in workshops and things like that than I did in college. And so I want to encourage you, always be reading, trying to learn, expand your mind. Learn how to coach and delegate. That's really the reason why you have employees, is so that you can coach them and so that you can lead them and teach them how to do tasks and assignments that would be beneficial to the company. And they may be tasks that they can perform better than you can perform. And I would highly encourage you, if it's not in your wheelhouse, or if it's not the highest and best use of your time, find somebody to delegate that task to. Number 10, systematize your business. There are great systems out there today, and there are new ones being developed every day. All you have to do is just do a little research, And once you have the processes of your business down, that's the time to start learning to systematize those processes, and that'll make it so much more easier and effective. Just remember the old days when we used to do accounting by hand and in journals and ledgers and things like that. Today, there are systems who will, that can handle all that functionality for you, and one little minor change updates everything in the system, and it's just so much more efficient, so much more productive to systematize your business. And so I would encourage you to do that. And then last, get yourself a good dashboard. It's like looking at the dashboard on your car or the instruments in an airplane. It really tells you how your business is doing and how it's performing, and gives you some indicators to work with in order to be able to navigate the direction that you're going, make changes that you might need to make on the fly or the go, because there's some disruptor that's interfering with your business. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And so that's really what I wanted to share with you today. If you want to learn to be more strategic with how you run your business, if you'll follow these 11 tips right here, this will be a really good start for you. So with that, I guess we'll turn it over for questions, Dan.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevin. That was honestly very insightful. If anybody has any questions, you can type them in the box there. We'll give you a second to kind of digest everything and organize your thoughts. And if you don't have anything, thank you everybody who attended, and thank you, Kevin, for your time. Kevin, is there anything you'd like to sign off with?
Yeah, I've got one last slide here. So I want to thank everyone, and for allowing me to participate today. I want to thank our participants, and I want to thank you, Dan, for and Exit Planning Institute for having me on here today. And if anyone has an interest in learning more or wishes to possibly join or set up a forum group in their city, or if you need some help with becoming more strategic with your business, I invite you, contact me, Kevin Minton, at the information that you see on your screen. And feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I'll be happy to help you however I can. And so thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity, Dan.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Kevin. And we have no questions that came through. If you guys do have any questions, like Kevin mentioned, you can contact him right here at info@chiefexecutiveboards.com, or the phone number listed here on the end slide. Oh, excuse me, on the end slide. Well, with that, I'd like to thank Kevin again for his time, and everybody for attending. Thank you all, and have a great day.
Thank you.